After decades of commanding his courtroom with authority, Judge Greg Mathis now finds himself facing the toughest case of his life, his own. At 64 years old, the judge, who has built a reputation for delivering justice with both firmness and compassion, is finally speaking out, addressing rumors that have followed him for years. For someone who always seemed to have the answers, Mathis is now revealing dark secrets that nearly tore his world apart. Could the whispers of infidelity and scandal really be true? The secrets that have rocked his life and marriage are now being laid bare. But before we dive into the rumors that have circulated for so long, it's important to take a step back and look at Mathis's early life, a story filled with hardship and resilience that shaped the man we know today. Gregory Ellis Mathis was born in 1960 in Detroit, Michigan, a city that was both the epicenter of industrial success and a hotspot for civil unrest and crime during his youth. Raised in the Herman Gardens housing projects, Mathis's childhood was far from the life of privilege many might imagine for a future judge. The neighborhood he grew up in was one of the first federal housing projects in the United States, but by the time Mathis was a teenager, it had gained a notorious reputation for being a rough, dangerous, and economically disadvantaged place. Mathis was one of 4 sons raised by his hardworking single mother, Alice. Mathis's life was tough, and the odds seemed to be stacked against the Mathis family from the start. Alice, however, was a pillar of strength for her children. She worked tirelessly to keep her family afloat, juggling 2 jobs to provide for her sons. By night, she was a nurse's aide at a local hospital, and by day, she cleaned homes, hardly ever resting. Her work ethic was unshakable, but despite her efforts, making ends meet was an ongoing struggle for young Greg. Life in Herman Gardens was a constant battle. The pressures of the neighborhood, where crime, drugs, and violence were rampant, often made it difficult for him to stay on the right path. Discipline was always a challenge for Mathis. From an early age, he rebelled against authority, and his defiance got him into trouble more than once. In fact, he was expelled from elementary school, marking the beginning of a long and tumultuous relationship with education. Throughout his adolescence, Mathis found himself constantly at odds with school officials, teachers, and even the law. He bounced from one high school to another, never quite fitting in and frequently clashing with authority figures. By the time he reached the 10th grade, Mathis had dropped out of school altogether, feeling the pull of the streets and the tough environment around him. Detroit was a city of stark contrasts, with history and culture, yet burdened by poverty and crime. Mathis found himself on the wrong side of that divide. It wasn't long before Mathis began running with the wrong crowd. His teenage years were filled with brushes with the law, and he was in and out of trouble, teetering on the edge of a life that could have easily led him to prison or worse. For a while, it seemed that Mathis's future was sealed. By the time he was 17, he had been arrested multiple times, culminating in a stint behind bars. The rebellious young man who had dropped out of school and abandoned his studies now faced a bleak future. His mother's dreams of seeing her son succeed seemed more distant than ever, and the prospect of him becoming anything other than another statistic in the streets of Detroit seemed slim. But life had other plans for Greg Mathis. While his early years were fraught with missteps, defiance, and hardship, they would also serve as the foundation for his incredible transformation. After being released from jail, Mathis found himself at a crossroads. He could continue down the same path of destruction, or he could make a change. Motivated by his mother's unwavering faith in him and the encouragement of a few key mentors, Mathis made the bold decision to turn his life around. He re-enrolled in school, eventually earning his GED, a pivotal moment that set him on a new course. Soon after, Mathis enrolled in college, attending Eastern Michigan University. His academic achievements were a testament to his newfound determination and discipline, but they were just the beginning. It was during his time at Eastern Michigan that Mathis became involved in political activism, aligning himself with civil rights causes and community advocacy. The young man who once rebelled against authority was now using his voice and platform to fight for justice. Mathis's passion for helping others and standing up for the oppressed led him to pursue a law degree at the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. Earning his law degree was no small feat for Mathis, especially considering the tumultuous journey that had brought him there. But his determination paid off, and he passed the bar exam, officially becoming a licensed attorney. From there, Mathis's career began to take off. He quickly became known for his tireless work in public service, focusing on criminal justice reform and community outreach. His efforts to help former inmates re-enter society and his dedication to uplifting the underprivileged gained him widespread recognition. Eventually, his hard work and dedication led to his appointment as a judge in Michigan's 36th District Court, a position that would bring him both fame and respect. But despite the success, rumors and scandals began to follow Mathis as his star rose. The whispers of infidelity and scandal surrounding his marriage plagued his personal life, threatening to tarnish the reputation he had worked so hard to build. These rumors only grew louder as Mathis became a public figure, with many speculating about the cracks in his seemingly perfect life. Could the rumors be true? Could the man who had once battled his own demons in the streets of Detroit now be struggling with new demons in the public eye? As Judge Mathis finally speaks out, the world is left wondering what secrets will be revealed. The man who has always delivered justice with authority and compassion is now facing his toughest challenge yet, confronting the personal scandals that have rocked his world. Through it all, however, one thing remains clear. Greg Mathis is a survivor. He has overcome adversity before, and whether the rumors are true or not, his legacy as a figure of strength, resilience, and justice will continue to inspire those who walk the same difficult path he once did. Greg Mathis later admitted that the pressures of his environment were hard to resist. Growing up in a place where crime and violence were a part of daily life, it wasn't long before he fell victim to the temptations around him. At just 15 years old, Mathis found himself drawn to a notorious gang in Detroit known as the Errol Flynn's. This marked the beginning of a dark chapter in his life, one that saw him spiraling into a series of poor decisions that would ultimately lead him down a dangerous path. His involvement with the gang opened the door to a world of criminal activity. Mathis quickly racked up a juvenile record with offenses that ranged from breaking and entering to purse snatching and shoplifting. Each crime pushed him further away from any hope of escaping the circumstances he was born into. By the time he was 17, Mathis was on a collision course with disaster. His arrest on a weapons charge landed him in Wayne County Jail. It was during one of his mother Alice's visits that he realized the full extent of the damage his choices were causing. Seeing the pain in her eyes, he made a heartfelt promise to change his ways, a promise that became even more significant after her passing from cancer soon after. A fortunate break came when Judge Charles Kaufman gave Mathis a choice during his court appearance: go to a maximum security prison or work towards earning his GED. It was a decision that changed the trajectory of his life forever. Mathis's road to redemption was not easy, but he realized that education was the key to unlocking a future that once seemed completely out of reach. His resolve to turn his life around only strengthened when tragedy struck. Shortly after, his beloved mother, Alice, passed away from cancer, leaving him devastated. Her death was a devastating blow, but it also served as a powerful reminder of the promise he had made to her. Determined not to let her down, Mathis threw himself into his studies, eventually overcoming obstacles. By 1984, he had earned his Bachelor of Science degree. During his time at Eastern Michigan, Mathis didn't just focus on academics. He became actively involved in politics and community service, which fueled his growing passion for public service. One of his most formative experiences came when he began working as an unpaid intern for Detroit City Council President Irma Henderson. Every week, Mathis would take the bus from the university in Ypsilanti, Michigan, to downtown Detroit. In fact, he co-founded an outreach program called Young Adults Asserting Themselves, aimed at helping at-risk teens in Detroit find employment and better opportunities. This program reflected Mathis's desire to give back to the city that had shaped him and to help others avoid the same mistakes he had made. By 1988, Mathis had earned his law degree and passed the Michigan State Bar exam. However, the road to becoming a practicing attorney wasn't without its challenges. Due to his juvenile criminal record, the Michigan Bar was hesitant to grant him a license to practice law. For 4 long years, he worked in other capacities, including as an advocate for criminal justice reform. Finally, in 1993, his persistence paid off when he obtained his law license and began his own private law practice. Just a year later, in 1994, Mathis made the bold decision to run for a seat on the 36th District Court in Michigan. On the bench, Mathis used his platform not only to dispense justice, but also to inspire others. His dedication to the community and his tough love approach earned him the respect of his peers and the admiration of those who came before him in court. His unconventional style made him a standout figure, which eventually caught the attention of Warner Brothers Television. The result was Judge Mathis, a courtroom reality show that debuted in 1999 and became an instant success. When you think of Judge Greg Mathis, images of a stern but witty TV courtroom judge probably spring to mind. He's been on television screens for over 2 decades, ruling over cases with authority, but also with heart. Viewers love him for his tough love approach, his quick retorts, and his compelling personal backstory as a former street kid who turned his life around to become a respected judge. But while Judge Mathis's professional life has been well documented, his personal life has largely remained a mystery until now. Behind the scenes, Mathis's life is far more complex than the composed figure we see on TV. His seemingly perfect family, consisting of his wife, Linda Ree, and their 4 children, has recently become the subject of intense scrutiny and rumors. Speculations about the dynamics between Judge Mathis and his wife, as well as between him and his son, Greg Mathis Jr., have been swirling around the internet and tabloids for years. Recently, these rumors have taken on a life of their own, culminating in revelations that have left many fans both shocked and intrigued. For years, Judge Greg Mathis was thought to have the perfect family, successful, loving, and tightly knit. But as many celebrity families have learned the hard way, public perception doesn't always align with private realities. This expose dives deep into the real story behind the Mathis family, revealing how Greg Mathis's wife and son have been at the center of some deeply personal and controversial moments, and how the judge himself has handled being thrust into the spotlight in ways that he may not have anticipated. To understand the complexity of Judge Mathis's family dynamics, it's essential to start with the beginning of his relationship with Linda Ree. The couple met while attending Eastern Michigan University long before Greg Mathis was the celebrity judge we know today. At the time, Mathis was still finding his footing, having recently turned his life around from a troubled youth involved in Detroit street life and brushes with the law. Linda, a sharp and ambitious young woman, quickly became his anchor. They got married in 1985, and for many years, their relationship seemed to be the quintessential love story. They had 4 children together, 2 sons, Greg Jr. and Heir, and 2 daughters, Jade and Shimra. As Judge Mathis's television career took off in the late 1990s with Judge Mathis, the family appeared to live an idyllic life of success, love, and unity. However, the pressures of fame, personal struggles, and the realities of raising a family in the public eye soon took their toll. While Greg Mathis was spending much of his time filming the show and dealing with the pressures of being a public figure, Linda was largely responsible for managing the household and raising their children. Although they maintained the appearance of a happy marriage, cracks in their relationship began to form as personal differences surfaced. For years, fans have wondered how Linda Ree managed to stay in the background while her husband became a household name. Though she has a law degree and an impressive career of her own, Linda has remained a quiet figure, rarely making public appearances or giving interviews. Many assume that she was simply a supportive wife, comfortable in her role as the family's matriarch. However, rumors suggest that her absence from the public eye may have been due to more complicated reasons. Behind closed doors, Linda reportedly struggled with the challenges of being married to a public figure. Sources close to the couple have hinted that Linda felt sidelined and overshadowed by her husband's career, particularly as their children grew older. Raising 4 kids while her husband was often away for work was no easy task, and over time, it is said that Linda began to feel increasingly isolated. There were also rumors that the couple's marriage had faced significant strain, with whispers of potential infidelity, though these have never been confirmed. While the public saw a loving, united couple, those close to the Mathis family suggest that Linda's patience and strength were tested repeatedly throughout their marriage. Despite these challenges, Linda stayed by Greg's side, maintaining her role as the foundation of the family. But as the children grew older and began to carve out their own identities, particularly Greg Jr., the family's public image would once again come into question. Greg Mathis Jr. is coming out. The moment that shocked fans of all the Mathis children, it was Greg Mathis Jr. who sparked the most controversy and public interest. For years, rumors had circulated about his personal life, particularly regarding his sexuality. As the son of a man who had built a career around tough love, justice, and traditional values, many wondered how Judge Mathis would react when the rumors were finally addressed head-on in an emotional interview. Greg Jr. opened up about his journey, revealing the difficulties he had faced growing up in the spotlight. He spoke candidly about the pressures he felt to conform to societal expectations, as well as the fear of how his father, a man known for his strong opinions, would react to the news. Judge Mathis, for his part, responded with nothing but love and support for his son. He made it clear that his son's sexuality would never change the deep bond they shared, and he quickly became an advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. Mathis publicly stated that his son's courage inspired him to use his platform to raise awareness and fight for acceptance and equality for all people, regardless of their sexual orientation. This moment marked a turning point in the Mathis family's public narrative. While some fans praised the judge for his unwavering support of his son, others were critical, questioning how the tough judge they had watched on TV for years could reconcile his stern persona with the more sensitive issues of identity and acceptance within his own family. The fallout, how the public reacted to the Mathis family revelation. The revelation of Greg Mathis Jr.'s sexuality and his father's public support were met with mixed reactions. While many applauded the family's openness and acceptance, others were less understanding. Some fans of Judge Mathis found it difficult to reconcile the image of the tough judge with the personal vulnerability he displayed in handling his son's coming out. Moreover, the media spotlight on the Mathis family intensified. Tabloids and gossip columns ran headlines speculating about the nature of Judge Mathis's marriage to Linda and questioning whether their relationship had been affected by the news of their son's sexuality. Some even suggested that the couple's seemingly perfect marriage had been under strain for years, and that Greg Jr.'s coming out was merely the latest challenge in a long list of personal hurdles for the family.